Many people believe they understand what grace is. They'll sing Amazing Grace, or they'll say that individual carries grace. Or they say, my life was touched by grace. Like every green light when they're driving, it just turns green and everything's going well. And that's grace to them. Like they won the lottery, they got touched by grace. Or they met the love of their life at first sight and they were touched by grace. That moment is like a bolt of lightning in the pitch night sky, and in that clarity I see the path. And that path, it permeates my consciousness long after that spark has departed. And I can walk in darkness, for I saw there was a path. But grace is more than that. Grace is the current behind all of creation, and it's a current of benevolence. Everything that's been created, everything that exists behind a benevolent intention, a benevolent theme. And I'm not just talking about in the macro, in the big picture here. I'm talking about something so elegantly complex that every action of every individual and every consideration has been set up specifically to optimize the greatest benevolence for that individual. And there are individuals that have challenging scenarios and difficulties and such. But I say to you that your soul has signed up for this before it came down. For there is nothing that can happen to an individual without the higher self consulting with the individual soul and saying, is this what you want? Is this what you want to master? Is this the challenge that you want to actualize? There is nothing that can take place. And what I want to impart to you is that if you remain cognizant of this secret, of this truth, then no adversity can ever obtain jurisdiction over your thoughts, over your mind, and over your heart. So long as you are cognizant that you chose this, that it is you. See, what happens is that we come from a very, very, very intimate, beautiful, loving space, and we enter a world of detachment. And the reason why we enter this world of detachment is so we can have diversity. And as I look around this room, I see diverse faces. And it's beautiful. You know, diversity is needed in order to create love. Without diversity, there is no love. I need differentiation. I need freedom. And the more diversity there is, the more freedom there is in creation. I need that diversity. But in order to have diversity, there is separateness. There is a separateness that takes root, because in order to love and choose love, then I must be separate and chosen. And I must separate and choose. And even though we come from a harmonic space where all is loving, that love is faint and hollow compared to the love that we can magnify in this space, because we have such a plethora of choice. There is so much diversity. For everything that is one way, there's a complete opposite. Well, it's true. It's true. There's hostility and there's harmony in this space. And you say, how could hostility be loving? How could it be harmonic? How could it be grace? And I say, when you recognize that the hostility is offered for you to have freedom and choice and poignancy in your expression and your love, then you will see hostility as abundance in your freedom. As freedom is the greatest currency in existence. And it's what they do not have behind the veil, because the truth is that evident and obvious. So when you're walking in this space and you're having your worldly experience, recognize that freedom is in abundance in this space. And each of you are affluent and wealthy and powerful in your choice and powerful in your abundance. And when you stand and you recognize that I am not abandoned, I am separated. And the reason why I'm separated is in order to be wealthy. In order to be wealthy in my freedom. Because in a place where they're impoverished, I can make a difference. And I will use that wealth. And I will use it responsibly because I'm a custodian of that wonderful bountifulness. And I will use it to uplift here and beyond. For all are worthy and all are deserving. And that love, where I come from, that's a beautiful love. But I'm going to make it more poignant and more real. I'm going to crystallize it and anchor it right here. In a world of contrast, in a world of great, great diversity that affords me the ability to choose. And when I choose an unconditional love, a higher love, then I create the golden seal between what's beyond and what's here and what's here and what's beyond. And many people, they aspire, they say, let there be heaven on earth. I say, let there be earth and heaven, for it is one and the same. We can bring our diversity and recognize how powerfully wealthy we are in abundance of our freedom and choose. And when we choose in grace. And the grace that we are living, what is that grace? That grace is the kiss behind all of existence. Existence came from a kiss of grace. It was a kiss of benevolence, to benevolently create, to create as a creator. A spark of the creator, to experience your own individuality, your own expression, your own song, your own notes of the creator. And partner with the rest of creation in helping to actualize that higher love, that higher benevolence, that beauty. That is grace. Grace is when I am in touch with the stream of the benevolence behind all things. There is no day, there is no night, there's just a constant of light. It's not what you say, it's not what you preach. It is a space you inhabit. It is a space called home. And individuals' lives are changed by just being in the vicinity of that illumination. They see it in the mirror of your eyes. And it's like when you have two objects and they're of the same quality and you ring one and the other starts to resonate across the room. And that's the way souls and individuals are. It just works in a far more quantum way. Because we are all connected to a collective consciousness on it's an unconscious field, but it's along this earthly grid. And when you ring your bell, there is someone that's almost like you. Starts to resonate just a little bit louder. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And you look at the world and you say, well, look, there's so many problems and, there's so much struggle and it's so primitive. And I say to you, have you ever been a child playing in the snow? And most of you have. And when you play with that snow and you roll that ball of snow up, you just roll it and roll it and roll it and it gets bigger and bigger. And you take that little snowball and you put it right at the top of a hill. And you give it a little push. And that's what love is. Just give it a little push. And let it do its trick. Grace is the recognition that all is an orchestration. of manifesting that love. Everything, every detail. There's not a part of it that is excluded. It's humbling and awe-inspiring to contemplate that every single detail, to the point of whether you walk down the street and you want to take a quarter out of your pocket and you pull out a dime and you have to dig back in your pocket again, that too is part of that orchestration of grace. There is nothing that is not out of the jurisdiction of that initial kiss of creation's light. And it's all designed to illuminate for the most amount of intelligent souls the greatest benevolence, while crystallizing your sacred song in your space. And some people say, well, look, I've got a lot of drama in my life. And I say to you, go to Hollywood, go see an action star and say to him, what, you're making $16 million on a film. Why do you want a part in some slow, stuffy, dramatic movie? And he says, because I want a part that I could bleed. I want to prove my chops as an actor. And there are many of you who are really fine actors. But remember, it's a part. You're not the part. You're just playing the part. You know, love is also leaving the drama long enough to find it amusing again. And what I hope is that in this space you can recognize that. You can recognize that you are not your job. That you are not where you were born. You are not your denomination of culture or religion. I mean, that's so petty. You're far more brilliant than that. And when you plug into that space and you're cognizant and you recognize from whence you came and where you are going, for you are aligned with eternity. You come from eternity and you are headed right back into eternity. The only difference between you when you started and where you're going is that by the time you get back there, you've actualized it. You haven't just dreamt it. And when you're aligned with that space, there is really no separateness at all. You know, when all the colors of the rainbow, you put them all together, you get pure white light. And that diversity, when you're truly, truly, truly inclusive in your recognition, there is no difference between all and one. All is a singularity. It's plural, but it's a singularity. And so, what I'm saying to you is, each of you, if you haven't been before now, you are now called by grace. Grace is calling you. It is the kiss behind all of creation, and you're able to sense and witness and feel with the vibrancy, its tenderness. And it is echoing so foreignly within the confines of the human existence. But I am telling you that that kiss is you. You are that expression. That's from whence you came. And your job is to be a beacon of that music. Your job is to take your truth and play its music in a higher key, in accordance with the tenderness, with the indelible tenderness of that chord of grace. And when you do, this is my guarantee, my promise. When you do, your world will color anew, brick by brick. And you will say, I didn't see it. So I'm telling you, go home tonight, chart down everything that's in your life and the way you feel about it. and use this court of grace and revisit in 3 months and see if you recognize yourself and how your life has changed.